All right, we are back. Hey, girl. Girl. I have been fighting for my life to try to come and make this vlog. I'm glad I waited. I'm glad it got delayed because the day I would have normally filmed this I was still in the luteal phase. And remember where I talked about on like the previous vlogs where I was like, yeah, hold on, where's my necklace? I'm trying to be popping. I got places to go today. But remember I was talking about, I was like, we'll see how I do during the luteal phase though. Like I'm hoping things go well. I'm going in strong. I'm ready. And in the luteal phase, I was thinking about this the other day. The luteal phase, the second half, not the whole, because the whole phase is long AF, but it's like the last 5 days. It feels like if you were to look at like a slope, like you're looking at a hill and there's like mud, it's a muddy, slippery hill. So you feel like if you step gently and you're really attentive and you're really cautious, that you'll be safe, you're not gonna slip and like fall in all the mud. That's what that's what the luteal phase feels like. I felt like, because I see it, I see it on my little app. Okay, this is the days it's gonna be. I'm gonna be ready. That it's not gonna just like hijack my brain and I'm not gonna just fall. Let me do an intro. If this is your little intro, if this is your first time on my channel, hello. My name is Tatiana. I quit my job about 11 months ago, quit my 9 to 5 in pursuit of a better life, of a life that I deserve, that I feel that I want to create myself. And you can find me, I should say that my other socials, well, I guess the socials is in the description, but you can find me on all platforms on tot.barlow. Tot as in short for my name, so spelled T-A-T. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Anyways, I feel like this is how I'm describing it at this point, this whole cycle thing. Remember I told you I'm doing cycle seeking and da-da-da-da. Little update on that really quick. I really do be feeling like a computer, I'm gonna be honest. I say that all the time. I be feeling like we're just really sophisticated, really advanced, like Sims. But during those like last 5 days of the luteal phase, which I'm really glad I didn't do this vlog then, because y'all would think that I have like no hope in life, because that's literally how my brain feels. My brain, I swear to God, there's just no progesterone. Progesterone just dips and the estrogen dips, and I just feel like I have no serotonin in there whatsoever. It is so bizarre. And it's bizarre because I'm aware. It's bizarre because remember I told you there's always a version of me that's just like watching myself in life. And so that version is still there watching. And it's like, I didn't even do my meditation. Mind you, I don't skip my morning meditations, even though I did this morning because I gotta make this vlog, but I'm gonna do it. But I don't skip my morning meditations. I don't skip my evening meditations. I don't wake up with negative thoughts. I don't really deal with negative thoughts like that. I don't really take them seriously. They really don't get any momentum. But in that phase, it's as if like all of my tools and stuff that I be having for myself are just like, my brain doesn't even have the energy to care. Like this is literally what my inner voice sounds like. No, real, no exaggeration right now. There'll be the other version of me in my head that's like, hey, remember, this is just the phase, or we're abundant, or whatever positive shit's coming up with, right? My inner voice will literally, no BS, go, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm annoyed. Like whatever I'm feeling, like that's literally how it sounds. That's literally like, yeah, I don't care. It's so weird. And I just feel like this is my brain. This is my body. So why is it that I don't seem to be able to do anything about what it's experiencing right now? Like that estrogen progesterone dip is serious. Like coming out of the luteal phase feels like right now I feel like I'm above water. Like I'm like, chest up. I'm back. I can like function. And then once you're out of the menstrual phase and we're back in follicular, it feels like, like I'm coming up for air. Like it is crazy. But what I noticed too with this phase is it doesn't make stuff up. It just makes things louder. Like the things or insecurities or whatever you're already kind of feeling some type of way about inside, it's not making that up, but it is making it a bigger deal. Um, and I literally just feel like there's no serotonin in my brain. Even I was hanging out with a friend. This was so interesting. And then I'll move on from this, and because we're gonna talk about. I guess I didn't even give you a overview. We're gonna talk about how we treat others and how we treat ourselves. Life being a reflection, decisions being energetic. Briefly, I'll probably just say that really quick after this. Briefly on body changes, and the how to not react thing. We can touch on that again, but. It feels, I was with my friend and I was like, and I was really excited to see her because I love getting to see her. And like mentally, I was like, I'm here. Like mentally, I'm in it. I want to hang out with you. We're hanging out, we're talking. And I feel like there's a part of me having to like will my body along. Like, mind you, I got sleep, even though the luteal phase also impacts my sleep, which I didn't realize before. Now I'm looking at the trends because I track stuff in an app. It actually impacts my sleep. And I was like trying to like, I felt like I was putting forth so much effort to get me to be physically here. And my brain just felt like dead. It felt like the servers were down. And then that's actually literally what it feels like. It feels like the servers are down. And then I get into the menstrual phase and then the servers are back online. But then we still need IT to come in and do some stuff. And then the follicular comes in and it's like, we're back online. IT's fixed everything. Like, we're back. It is so weird. And it is a lot. And it is bizarre to me. I'm still navigating that, but just update on that. That was just, and it's just those like the second half of the luteal. It's not the whole luteal phase. It's when progesterone like crashes that I just feel like, but because I still have self-love and I still have emotional regulation, I'm not necessarily having whole crash outs or meltdowns, but it does turn into indifference of just like, yeah, we'll see if any of my stuff takes off. Yeah, we'll see if I, like, it's so weird. It just doesn't feel like me. It feels like my brain is running a completely different software programming. And then I need to get IT, and then they come and like give me some damn estrogen. I wanted to briefly mention some of the body changes that I've noticed since regulating my nervous system, because I think it's really nice. It's cool to be able to see like how different things correlate. And again, if you're someone else that's regulating your nervous system. Something that has continuously been like a very stark difference on my journey is the way my body regulates temperature. And there is science behind that. Oh, that reminds me of something else I wanted to talk about on here. I'll make a note. I don't know if I'll have time to get to it, but I will make a note. I actually really want to talk about that. I might bump that up. Anyways, I've noticed there is science very much supporting how your body maintains homeostasis and how well it does that when you are more regulated. But it's been a really stark difference for me. I used to be someone that was very cold all the time. I would struggle in really anything below the 70s. And I really liked serious heat. I liked it to be in the 80s and the 90s. It's crazy. Now it sounds crazy. Like, what the hell? But, and even indoors, like even right now, I'm kind of like, do I want to take this off? Because I close the door so I can record. But I get hot a lot easier. My body does a lot better at heating me up and keeping me more, I guess, flexible with different temperature changes. I can still handle the higher temperatures. And but I can handle the colder temperatures way easier than I ever could. And when you're living in a state of subtle stress, subtle fight or flight, sympathetic state, however you want to word that, there is things like vasoconstriction where your blood vessels dilate a little bit. All those changes that take place for if you really needed fight or flight, it's doing that on like a low scale. And it's prioritizing heating up different parts of your body and blah, 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 versus when you're in a parasympathetic state. your body is able to heal and regulate and maintain and do all the things that it's supposed to and trying to do. So that has been consistent this entire time on, and it made more sense to me, not to tangent, but I used to think like if we didn't live in the way we do now and we were just like outside like other animals, I'm sure we would still make clothes and make things for ourselves because we could still create. But if we lived outside, I was like, how would we survive it with such like temperature sensitivity? Like other animals can handle like a greater range. Why can't we handle a greater range? We can, and many people can, but we can. You just need to be, or I would assume, or I would say, or word it as, we just need to be more regulated and allow our bodies to be able to do that. We have the ability to do that, to handle greater temperature ranges and to not be so cold so easy. But something as simple as vasoconstriction alone is a great explanation for why that takes place. Because more blood flow, more cellular metabolic activity, energy is often given off in the form of heat. All of those reactions require energy. You're heating up your body more. I mean, blah, blah, blah. But something cool that I noticed, and then I also noticed, I didn't write it down. If I remember, I'll bring it up. It's not a big deal, but there was something else that I've noticed too. And waking up earlier and stuff. I talked about that on one of my TikToks. That was like a natural shift that I clocked that's been happening throughout this year. And now I'm waking up even earlier. This is more of a conscious decision, but it's going great. But the time of days and I'm most productive and just all of that. I just feel like the more I become regulated and take care of myself, the more I just am acting like a typical diurnal mammal. Where if you look at other mammals, they get up in the morning and they do this and they do that. Like I feel like I'm seeing more and more that we're just like the other animals and we're just like nature, because we are nature. I wanted to move on to discuss, I didn't realize the mic got so far away from me. Let me just, having that awareness of what insults you and why, what bothers you and why, what are you judging other people for and why, will give you some insight on your own rules, your own beliefs, and your own way of treating yourself. I want to go back to the concept of everything being a reflection and how my life is literally reflecting me. I talked about it last week when I talked about how I noticed I was dressing different in the airport and how my home looks very different and the space around me looks very different. There is an analogy that I saw that I want to share that is what made this make a lot more sense to me. I understand that everything is energetic, right? I understand that we are made of light. I'm tired of these gnats getting in my house. I understand that we have electromagnetic fields. Like putting the woo-woo stuff aside from a scientific perspective, I can understand that. So when they're talking about the whole reflection stuff and you get back what you give out and you have to give it to yourself first before, and gratitude being the highest frequency and all that stuff, when I saw the example of tuning forks, where if you start playing one tuning fork, like I wish I could like put an animation here, but and I keep also feeling like we're getting close to the time that the video stops, so I'm like, keep looking at that. But if you have two tuning forks and you start ringing one on one side of the room, the other one on the other side of the room will automatically start to go. It'll automatically, if it matches, if they're the same frequency, the other one will automatically start to send that back. And they will continue to do that. If you hold this one for long enough, if you sustain the first tuning fork for long enough, then this one will continue to vibrate at that same frequency on its own. And then they'll be vibrating each other and it'll be automatic. And that is us. That is exactly what's going on here. We are this tuning fork. And if we can hold this frequency enough of gratitude, self-love, authenticity, whatever it is, pick your words, affirmations of choice. If you can hold this long enough, that is what will be reflected back to you out in the quantum field or the void or whatever you want to call it. That's why your manifestations are immediate. That's why everything is immediate, because it is immediately reflecting back. Stuff is immediately falling into place. This tuning fork out in the field or whatever is immediately sending back the frequency that you're sending out in the most literal sense. It reminds me of like when I was in orchestra, and if let's say it was just a small group of us on one side of the room, and we started to tune or whatever with our instruments, and we would stop, and then we would hear that there was an instrument on the other side of the room that actually started playing that same note back to us automatically, because they just frequency matched, and those will just keep going. And that's how I feel when I talk about everything working out for me, and how that affirmation or how that belief set in, and how that really is just my life. I feel like that's because I held that frequency long enough. I held that belief, and it's now just vibrating back automatically. And so that's why every time I see it, I express gratitude for it. Every time it happens in my life, every time something happens where it just works out for me, everything falls into place, I express gratitude, and I use that as another opportunity to give that out so that keeps coming back. So if you can think of it that way, as everything is reflecting you, in the sense that that's very literal. It's very, very literal. And that, yes, manifestations are instant in the sense that you can think of it as God immediately wanting to give you your desires. You can think of it as your guides immediately wanting to give you your desires. You can think of it as whatever you want. But at the end of the day, it's you. And if you can continue to put this out as much as you can, as much as you can, if you can continue to vibrate at that frequency, this is automatic. It's just about getting stuff shifted here in this plane. Everything is a vibration. It's like that guy on TikTok where that was really good TikTok, where he explained how, if a tree falls in a forest, does it make a sound? And then at the end of his video, I'm just going to wrap that up. At the end of the video, it's like it doesn't necessarily automatically make a sound, but it makes a vibration. And that sound is relative to the receiver. And he gave the example because he was talking about how his friend couldn't hear certain frequencies anymore. Like literally his hearing was going. So the higher pitched sounds he wasn't able to hear. And he and his friend were in the same room, and there was this sound going off. And his friend couldn't hear it because he can't hear those frequencies anymore. But he could. And his friend had, homeboy not been there, he would have just assumed that sound wasn't there because he couldn't hear it. The vibration for the sound was there the whole time, because the vibration for everything is there the whole time. The vibration for your dream life, the vibration for your money, the vibration for everything is there the whole time. I think even the thought of something automatically creates the vibration for it. It's already there. Everything we think of, everything we desire is already there. But because he was not able to, and physically he couldn't, because of his ears or whatever, he could not hear that sound. He believes that it doesn't exist because we can't see our dream life. We can't see this. We can't see that. We simply believe that it doesn't exist, but it's there. Those two people are in the same room having very different experiences because one of them can hear the sound and one of them couldn't. So then one of them just believed that the sound wasn't there to begin with. Are you following? It's like how dogs can hear things and smell things that we can't, and they can sense things that we can't. Other animals literally navigate their way around the world using the Earth's magnetic field. There are animals that see colors that we simply are unable to see. There are animals with senses that we simply do not have, so we don't even know what's going on there. There's so much information that we are not taking in. We can tune ourselves to take in more. We can, what they like to say is strengthening your intuition. We can definitely improve in that. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of things we simply cannot see and cannot hear and cannot smell and cannot take in. But that doesn't mean that it's not there. And that helped me to really step back a little bit and prioritizing what I can see, because we do that. We're like, well, right now, this is what my life looks like. Right now, I don't have this money, or I don't have X, Y, Z. And we can't see it, so we believe that it's not there, and we believe that it's not going to arrive, but it is there. It is. That's why your belief is everything. And what you're putting out is everything. And how long you can sustain that and how strong you can get that going is everything. Belief is God. That is why you see crazy stories of like people that are like crazy scammers or crazy whatever, where they just have a shit ton of audacity. That's all they have. No skill, no anything, just a crap ton of audacity, and they get everything they want in life because they believe that they deserve it. They believe that they can. They believe it'll work out. They believe. Your belief in yourself, your belief in what you deserve, your belief in whatever is your God. And that is why I'm so big on looking at myself in the mirror and repeating my beliefs and repeating it to my subconscious. If you say something enough, it doesn't matter if it's actually true or not, your subconscious will absorb it as true. That's why you see people believe in crazy things. That's why you see so much. Look around and then tell me if you see that checks out. Okay, go around in life and let me know if you believe that checks out. If you say something enough to yourself, it's kind of like I used to say, because I used to work in sales, I'd be like, salespeople I feel like they start to just believe their own BS. They do. They do, because they say their sales pitch all the time, that they actually start to believe in their own BS. Genuinely. Like, they don't believe that they're lying because they say it all the time. If you wake up every day and you say, every day I wake up and I know that I'm abundant and I know that I'm deserving of this, I know that I'm deserving of that, and you are constantly putting that out, that vibration, you're constantly putting that out into the whatever you want to call it, eventually it has to reflect back. It just may take time depending on how grand it is, depending on how strong your opposing beliefs were, depending on a lot of things. Also want to touch on how a lot of decisions are energetic, which is why the emotional regulation thing is such a big deal. Think about how if you go into a new place or you go into a new area, new room, new space, it's very likely that you're going to sit somewhere where you're maybe facing the door or facing an exit, or there's not really as many options for someone to come up behind you. You're not thinking about that, but your body subconsciously finds the space that it feels safest. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a space that is safest, but it's a space that your nervous system feels safest while it's there. It's just always, your body's always taking in information and feeling things out for what feels like the safest or best option for me. I bring this up because not only are our bodies doing that subconsciously most of the time, but when you create a new baseline for yourself, when you create a new sense of what feels safe, what feels normal, what you accept, what you prioritize, then you naturally end up in more aligned spaces. That's where that whole reflection thing comes in. I've created a new baseline where being regulated and open and communal and whatever is my body's new baseline. So that's where it feels safe. And so I've noticed since that shift that I ironically just so happen to constantly end up in the best case scenario for what I would have wanted, what my body feels safest in, around people that all of a sudden everybody's conscious. All of a sudden I constantly run into people that share this way of living or share this lifestyle or whatever, and without me knowing, like, oh, I just happen to sit next to this person on the whatever, wherever the hell I'm sitting at. It's like I told you on the plane. Of course, I just so happen to end up next to these people, or, oh, of course, I just so happen to end up in these situations, because I think our body's always picking up on stuff. And it's always looking to be next to people or next to spaces or in areas where it feels safest. And I've created a baseline where regulation and calm and coherence feel safest. So now I just naturally end up in those spaces more, which is also why I feel like even the people around you are a reflection if you're constantly ending up in chaos and chaotic situations and with chaotic people, that doesn't mean you're shit and you're chaotic, but it's reflecting something. That's for you to dig in for yourself. That's what I've been digging into with my relationships and my friendships and stuff. So many of your decisions are subconscious and energetic and are just prioritizing what feels safe. Update really quick. I am still doing the meditation where I use a scent. This is a scent I happen to use, but I smell this right before every meditation and then sometimes during and after to train myself, train my body to know when it smells this to immediately go into a deep state of gratitude and love and stuff. And so far it's still going well. It's still not outrageously dramatic, but I do notice a difference. I always use, when I meditate, I always use my scent and I use the quartz and an amethyst simply because these are amplifiers. Woo-woo aside, I have other crystals too that are there because, I don't know, people say they do something, so I believe that they do. But these ones actually do because we use these in, I guess, like watches and stuff and other items because they are amplifiers and they kind of like, they take a signal and they make it a little more clear. And we're putting off a signal. We're energy. We're giving off fields and energetic this and that. So I use them. And if you haven't heard of the podcast telepathy tapes, highly recommend. That's where I found out about this for real, started taking this seriously. They're basically autistic kids that have the ability to communicate with each other. You can say telepathically if you want to, kind of put it down to just that. It's so much greater than that, but we could just call it telepathy. And they've been testing it, crazy evidence, blah, blah, blah. And one of them was practicing remote viewing with this woman, and he gave her this clear quartz, and he was like, yeah, hold on to this. It'll kind of just help your signal be a little bit more clear because they're working on something, like they're remote viewing and stuff. And so, yeah, that's all the evidence I needed. If you listen to the telepathy tapes, you'll see why I'm like, oh, yep, and I will be using the clear quartz. And there was another kid on there that had autism that spoke on stones and crystals and stuff and the vibration that they give off. So it's not that they're all doing like a bunch of magical stuff, but I consider my meditations like I'm tuning myself to the frequency of gratitude, deep love, and abundance. Those are the three that I focus on. And I visualize 3 tuning forks, and engraved on the tuning fork says gratitude, engraved on the other one says abundance and deep love. And so I picture it as if I myself am putting off this frequency, and I wait until I start to feel it back. And I use this to help make my signal clear. And I use this to help get me into the state at a quicker pace. Lastly, I want to talk about the timeline for manifestations. Things manifest when your nervous system accepts them. When new beliefs integrate into your nervous system, and when your nervous system feels safe with whatever new thing you're trying to adopt, that's when it will manifest, and you will see it in the physical realm, or you will start to see it. Some new beliefs and some shifts, you will see changes within a few weeks to a couple or a few months. Major shifts and major identity changes can take up to a year for your nervous system to really integrate. If you are working on a completely new identity, a completely new way of being, that can take around a year. I'm not going to sit here and cite every single source or a whole bunch of whatever. You can look this up yourself. Putting the woo-woo aside, speaking solely on the nervous system, it can take about a year. It's a gradual process, and it can take about a year of consistent effort. It doesn't have to take a whole year, but anywhere in that range. I bring that up because one, I quit my job about a year ago, and I've been working on a whole new identity and stuff. So I feel like I can kind of speak to my experience on that. And that pretty much checks out. There are beliefs and affirmations that I used to say back in January that I was like working on that seemed so profound. Or I remember when I looked at my folder, I have folders on TikTok where I favorite things where I'd be like, oh, this is so profound, or this is so helpful, or motivation, or understanding. And I remember like a month ago or so, I went back and I was cleaning all those out, And so many of them, I was like, oh, well, yeah, I unfavorited a lot of them because I was cleaning it out. And a lot of them were like, oh, yeah, well, I know this. Like, well, duh, I believe this already. But at a certain point, however many months ago, that was new to my brain. That was, whoa. And now I'm at the end of the year like, yeah, of course I'm about that. Next. You know what I mean? I bring that up because if you're someone that's like, you are trying to 180 your life like I am, and you're like, bro, I don't see anything. I don't see the changes. Nothing's happening. Why is it taking so long? Manifestation is supposed to be instant. You have people on TikTok talking about how their life just 180 and 180 in 3 days. I love that for them. I'm not saying it's untrue, but I am saying to give yourself some grace in that it does take about a year, potentially, maybe, for your life and your system and your body to be able to 180 something, because it really is about the nervous system. And if your body doesn't feel safe with something, then it doesn't manifest. I'm not saying manifestations have to take a long time. And I don't even believe that. I don't even adopt that belief. And I'm not telling you to. But I am saying that it can take time and be gradual for the nervous system to accept something that is very different. If you're trying to shift your relationship with money or shift your relationship with people or whatever it is, and that was something that was ingrained in you as a kid, and you're trying to 180 that, that may or may not need that full time. And I'm not telling you to just accept that it needs to take a year and to glue to that. But I'm saying that to give yourself some grace. Never accept or adopt the belief that manifestations take a long time. I don't believe that, and nobody will ever get me to believe that. But also have an understanding that nothing will happen that is not integrated into your nervous system and that your body doesn't feel safe with. Our bodies are wired for safety, period. That's why, like I gave you the example before, why you sit in a certain place in the room where the exit's there, whatever, not consciously, but just start to pay attention when you're moving around your space and see how much of your decisions really do come down to what your body feels safest with and where your body feels safest at. All right, girl. I don't have that much to talk about for last week. I think this was a perfect week to talk about all this other stuff, because last week I was fighting for my damn life in that luteal phase, like I already shared. So, I have a lot of stuff to do today, so I'm gonna wrap it up there, and I'll see you next week, girl. Girl, I'm out here.